Hello there, YouTube. More importantly, hello there, Bossman. Yes, I'm a new subscriber of yours. I saw this 5-question thing and I just couldn't resist it. It's some very good questions here, and I thought I'd go through and answer them. Number one, which piece of fiction represents your worldview the best? No surprises here. It's going to be a comic book, and it's a comic book I've reviewed on the Fatal Error Network, and I think there is the first issues reviewed here as well. A series called Penguin, Pain and Prejudice, which covers the rise of the famous Batman villain, the Penguin. And the Penguin is a character I've always identified with, but in this case, I really get what he is. There are some rather silly bits of the plot, and there's been some twists to his backstory that I didn't quite agree with. But I think it kind of represents my view of the world best. If you could bring someone back to life, who would it be and why? The late great Spike Milligan. Why? Because he never did his New Testament. He wrote a version of the Old Testament, which was irreverent and rather silly, and I wanted him to go on to the New Testament, but obviously he died before he could. And more of those, according to Spike Milligan books, because they're all brilliant. According to Frankenstein, according to Spike Milligan, is just awesome. Where he turns the monster into basically a lager louse, which actually makes him slightly, I don't know, when I'm reading through it, obviously I think back to the Ken Branagh film, and I can just imagine Robert De Niro playing it as a Cockney lager louse, which would just be such a headfuck. It is hilarious. Yes. Number 3, if you had to marry someone with the opposite point of view to yours, who would that person be and why? Like Chthonius, I have a problem with this in that I don't do relationships. And although one concession I will make is that in a particularly nasty, oppressive state where homosexuality was outlawed, I would happily get married in order to cover up for a lady, because of the fact that that's just how I roll. That's part of who I am. I would take that step, but yeah. So I don't know, there's nobody in particular, I'm just saying that's probably the only reason I would get married, so it's a difficult question to answer. Worst representation of your worldview in a film or book? Again, I'm looking at a graphic novel. In this case, it's a brilliant graphic novel, but it's probably the bleakest and yet most utterly hilariously so bad it's good graphic novel I read. It's called The Blackest Night. Not DC one. It's a big crossover event comic. Essentially, it's all tied into the Green Lantern mythos, and there's this new type of lantern turns up, the Black Lanterns, who are basically zombies who want to destroy the. They want to destroy all existence and return to the peace, and I think. That's a particularly, I think that's one of my darker periods. I've had this kind of sympathy with the sort of anti-natalists of this world, and I think probably the worst representation of my worldview, the sort of the bleakest possible look at my worldview, would be Blackest Night. What do you think is the best example of the other view doing something good? Well, that's the thing. Though I am a liberal theist, I do appreciate there are a lot of good things on the other side. One of the best things, I think, There's a recent study they did on prisons in the UK. Now, the UK population is about 45% declared atheist, actual atheist, rather than just hovering somewhere or not sure what they believe. So they declare themselves atheists in the census, yet they make up 0.5% of the prison population. That is awesome. And the moment that somebody starts making an argument about religion being a good guide for morality, just bring that up. It's awesome. It's a real credit to the atheist community. Although, admittedly, you could make the argument that most of the people educated enough to actually put atheist probably wouldn't be in the kind of social class where they would need to commit crime that often. So you've got that argument to deal with, but nonetheless, it's well it's well worth bringing up in future arguments. Oh grief, I'm giving IMO to the opposition here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that response, and I shall look forward to future videos.